If you love Lancashire,
you'll love BBC Radio Lancashire.
BBC Radio Lancashire.
Right, 10 minutes to 9 now. Fascinating next guest, Peter Jones. He runs a cleaning company in Leyland, but it's not quite what you'd expect from your average cleaners, and you'd need a stomach far stronger than Kim and Aggie's, I guess. Peter's with me in the studio now. Peter, you run a crime and traumacy cleaning company.
That's right, yes.
Essentially 999 cleaners.
The fourth emergency service.
That's what you're called?
Yes.
And what does that involve?
Basically anything that your regular cleaner's not going to touch is something that we'll go in and clean up. Like you said, crime, trauma scene, murders, suicides, undiscovered deaths, all that sort of thing.
Really? Well, very specialist. How did the company get involved in doing that?
It was we were looking at what possibly could be the next big thing, and we always looked to the States because they're about 10 years ahead of us, and we thought, this is big in there. It's been big for about 10 years. It's only a matter of time before it comes over here.
And so what? Do you have a special relationship with the emergency services that they ring you?
We work closely with them, but mainly it's the sort of the forensics guys that go out after an incident that we tend to work with more. But we also work for housing associations, letting agencies, a whole range of customers. Okay,
fascinating stuff. I've got lots to talk to you about. Stay with us. 8 minutes to 9. I'm back with Peter in just a second. Jones is with me. Peter's 999 cleaners, specialists in cleaning up after traumas, calling by not so much the emergency services then, but the forensic boys who go in afterwards. Now, you say you got into this because you saw it was in America and it was big business and all that sort of thing. How on earth can you prepare yourself for some of the things you must come across?
It all comes down to training. It's not. You can't just pick up a vacuum cleaner and walk into a property. You've got to have the correct training. Now, we train with a company from Texas called Amdicon. The guy that runs that is at the forefront of the industry in America. So it was the obvious option was to...
And what sort of things? I mean, you've been out there to train, have you?
No, it was a course run in this country.
Right, and so what sort of things, what do they train you in?
Anything and everything from dealing with the aftermath, the stress that you can come into contact with afterwards, right down to cleaning the blood off the walls.
Well, it must be. I mean, if you're saying to me that you clean up after murders, then the body aside, which will have been removed, everything else must still be there. I'm good at. Do you sleep? Do you have trouble sleeping when some of the things you've seen?
Not really. No, it comes under sort of critical incident stress syndrome, and what they say is if you take plenty of exercise, walk the dog, that sort of thing, and just. It's like finishing a day's work. You want to unwind, and that's all it really is.
Now, you've got 5 people working for you. They're all ex-forces. Is that significant?
Yes and no. The reason I've gone for these particular people is because they've been there and they've seen this before. So it's easier for them, if you will. They're mentally prepared for what they're going to walk into.
What's the worst thing? I mean, I don't want a particular description of blood and guts, but presumably murders are the worst. Are they traumatic deaths?
Yes and no. It can all depend. If it was a shotgun murder, it's not so bad. Being blunt, there's not much mess. But if there's somebody that's been laying a property for 6 months undiscovered, that's a lot worse.
That's difficult to deal with. And now, what about can you get? I'm trying to think of an equivalent in everyday life. Like when you clean a house, it's sometimes difficult to get that to spick and span. Can you return properties to their rightful condition after something like that's happened?
Yeah, always, definitely. That's what we're trained to do. There's no point in us going and doing a job and leaving a speck of blood somewhere.
No,
because it's unhealthy and it's unprofessional.
Do you have special equipment to trace blood and things like that?
Yeah, we use UV lights, but you've just got to be really thorough. Everything's got to come out. If it's a room of this size, everything's got to come out. You've got to check under the floorboards.
Completely strip it back to basics.
Yeah, every nook and cranny.
Yeah, and on your daily basis, when you're in that situation, does black humour help?
Yes, yeah, definitely.
I would have thought it would have to, otherwise you would go potty.
Yeah, if you don't have a laugh, then there's no point doing it. There really isn't.
And are there any other companies around doing the same thing?
There's a handful of us in this country. I think there's about 6 or 7. That's it in this country.
Right.
We're all part of a network of crime scene cleaners throughout the country.
Right. And how big's your patch?
each and every company covers the whole country. But I mean, if I got a job in London, I'd ring one of my contacts from the network down there and say, "This is a job. I can't get to it today. Can you cover it?" And that's pretty much how we work. We all work together.
Well, it's been sadly we've run out of time, Peter. I could talk and talk, but I've got to be off at 9 o'clock.
You're okay.
I really appreciate you coming in, and again, we always find out stuff on this program, and that's a business and a company that you now Logic says exists, but you would never know. You'd never know about. So thank you very much for giving us an insight.
Thank you.
Peter Jones from 999 Cleaners. You're listening to BBC Radio Lancashire.